"Old man, you're embarrassing me. Just shut up and let me handle this." Those words echo through Providence Municipal Court. Everyone freezes. Did a son just tell his elderly father to shut up? In front of a judge. The man who spoke is Trevor Hastings. He's 32 years old. He stands there in a charcoal Tom Ford suit that costs $8,000. His shoes are Christian Louboutin. Red bottoms. $1,500. A Patek Philippe watch wraps around his wrist. That watch costs more than a new car. His hair is slicked back with expensive gel. His jaw is tight. His eyes are cold. Next to him stands his father, Robert Hastings. He's 80 years old. His hands shake slightly. Age does that. His suit is old. Clean but old. You can see the wear on the collar. His glasses sit crooked on his nose. His shoulders are bent. Not from shame. From 8 decades of life. From hard work. From carrying burdens. Judge Frank Caprio watches from the bench. His face is calm. But his eyes are sharp. Very sharp. He's seen many things in this courtroom. But this is something different. If you believe that no matter how much money you have, you should still respect your parents, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff stands straighter. Case number 2026, TR 104729. State versus Trevor Hastings. Multiple charges including reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident, and failure to render aid. Judge Caprio nods. "Good morning. Mr. Hastings, please step forward." Trevor doesn't move right away. He's looking at his phone. An iPhone 16 Pro Max. The screen glows. He's texting someone. His thumbs move fast across the screen. "Mr. Hastings," the judge says again. His voice is firmer now. Trevor looks up. He sighs. Like this is a huge inconvenience. He slides the phone into his pocket. He walks forward. His shoes click on the floor. Expensive shoes make expensive sounds. Behind him, his father follows. Robert walks slowly. Each step is careful. Measured. His cane taps against the floor. Tap, tap, tap. "Your Honor," says a woman from the side of the courtroom. She stands up. She's wearing a simple blue dress. Her name is Elena Morales. She's 43 years old. She's a certified nursing assistant, a CNA. That means she takes care of sick people at a hospital. She works the night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night, 5 days a week. Elena has 2 kids, a daughter who's 14, a son who's 11. She raises them alone. Their father left when her son was 2. She never got child support, never asked for it. Too proud, too busy working. She's in court today because of parking tickets. 4 of them. She parked in a loading zone outside the hospital. For different times. Why? Because the parking lot is a 10-minute walk from entrance. When her shift ends at 7 a.m., she's exhausted. Her feet hurt. Her back aches. She's been lifting patients all night. Turning them. Cleaning them. Comforting them. Some nights, patients die in her arms. She holds their hands. She tells them they're not alone. The parking tickets total $600. That's half her rent. She tried to fight them. She wrote letters. She explained. No response. So here she is. "Your Honor," Elena says again. "I was scheduled first." Case 2026, TR 104701. Judge Caprio looks at his papers. "You're right, Ms. Morales. My apologies. Mr. Hastings, please wait." Trevor's mouth drops open. "Are you serious? I've been waiting for 30 minutes already." The judge looks at him. "You arrived 15 minutes ago, Mr. Hastings. I can see the time log. And yes, I'm serious. Ms. Morales was here first. Please sit down." Trevor doesn't move. "Do you know who my father is?" The courtroom goes quiet. People lean forward. This is getting interesting. Judge Caprio sets down his pen. "I don't care if your father is the President of the United States. You'll wait your turn like everyone else." Trevor's face turns red. This is ridiculous. But he turns around. He walks back to the bench. He sits down hard. The bench creaks. His father sits next to him. Robert's hands fold in his lap. He stares at the floor. Elena approaches the bench. She carries a folder. Inside are her work schedules, her pay stubs, pictures of her kids, letters she wrote to the parking authority, all her evidence, all her proof that she's trying her best. Judge Caprio looks at her file. He reads slowly. His face softens. "Ms. Morales, I see you work at Rhode Island Hospital. Night shift CNA. Is that correct?" Yes, Your Honor. Her voice is soft but clear. And these tickets? All four were issued between 7 a.m. and 7:15 a.m. Right when your shift ends. Yes, sir. The judge looks at the parking enforcement officer who issued the tickets. The officer stands. Your Honor, the signs are clearly posted. No parking in loading zones. No exceptions. I understand that, Judge Caprio says. But I'm curious. Ms. Morales, why didn't you use the employee parking lot? Elena takes a breath. Your Honor, I do most nights. But those 4 mornings I got emergency calls. My daughter has type 1 diabetes. She needs insulin. Sometimes her blood sugar drops at night. When that happens, I need to get home fast. The walk from the employee lot takes 10 minutes. Those mornings, I couldn't spare 10 minutes. I parked close. I ran home. I took care of my daughter. Then I came back and moved my car. But by then, the tickets were already on my windshield. From the back of the courtroom, Trevor's voice cuts through. So she broke the rules. Pay the fine. Simple. Everyone turns. Judge Caprio's eyes narrow. Mr. Hastings, you will not speak unless addressed. Do you understand? Trevor rolls his eyes. But he doesn't answer. Do you understand? The judge repeats. His voice is harder now. Whatever, Trevor mutters. Judge Caprio makes a note on his pad. He writes something down. Then he looks back at Elena. Ms. Morales, do you have documentation of your daughter's condition? Yes, Your Honor. She pulls out papers. Medical records. Prescription receipts. Emergency room visit summaries. She hands them to the clerk. The clerk passes them to the judge. Judge Caprio reads. He nods slowly. Then he looks up. Ms. Morales, I'm going to reduce these fines to $0. All 4 tickets are dismissed. You were responding to a medical emergency involving your child. That's a valid reason. Case dismissed. Elena's eyes fill with tears. Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Honor. You're welcome. Keep taking care of those kids. Keep taking care of those patients. You're doing important work. Judge Caprio smiles. It's a warm smile. A grandfather's smile. Elena walks away. She's crying. But they're happy tears. Relief washes over her face. Now the judge looks toward Trevor. Mr. Hastings, please approach. Trevor stands. He stretches. Like he just woke up. He walks to the bench. His father stands too. Robert follows his son. Tap, tap, tap. The cane hits the floor. Mr. Hastings, Judge Caprio begins. You're charged with reckless driving. Specifically, driving 84 miles per hour in a posted 35 mile per hour zone. You're also charged with leaving the scene of an accident and failure to render aid. How do you plead? Trevor shrugs. Not guilty. The judge looks at the police report. Officer Martinez is here to testify. Officer. A police officer stands. His name tag reads Martinez. He's been a cop for 12 years. He's seen a lot, but this case bothered him. You can tell by his face. Your Honor, Officer Martinez begins. On January 8, 2026, at approximately 9:30 p.m., I responded to a call on Reservoir Avenue near Cranston Street. When I arrived, I found a Honda Civic on the sidewalk. The front end was completely destroyed. The driver was a 16-year-old girl named Sophie Chun. She was unconscious. Her head was bleeding. The airbag had deployed. Glass was everywhere. The courtroom is silent. People listen carefully. Officer Martinez continues. Witnesses told me that a black Porsche 911 Turbo S ran a red light at high speed. It hit the Honda on the passenger side. The impact spun the Honda into a light pole. The Porsche stopped for about 5 seconds. Then it drove away. Fast. Several witnesses got the license plate. It came back registered to Robert Hastings. The officer nods toward Robert. Trevor interrupts. My father wasn't driving. I was. We know, Officer Martinez says. You called your father from the scene. We have the call logs. Duration, 47 seconds. Then you drove to your father's house. You parked the Porsche in his garage. You called a lawyer. Then you turned off your phone. Trevor's lawyer stands. His name is Richard Blackwell. Expensive suit. Expensive briefcase. Expensive watch. He costs $600 an hour. Your Honor, my client made a mistake. He was scared. He's young. He panicked. But he's here today. He's ready to take responsibility. Judge Caprio looks at Trevor. Is that true? Are you ready to take responsibility? Trevor shifts his weight. Look, I didn't see her. The light was yellow. Maybe red. I don't know. It was dark. I was heading home. When I hit something, I stopped. I looked. I saw the car. But I didn't see anyone moving. I thought maybe it was empty. So I left. You thought it was empty. The judge's voice is careful. Measured. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. Officer Martinez speaks up again. Your Honor, may I show the body camera footage? Please do. The clerk sets up a screen. The footage begins. It shows Officer Martinez arriving at the scene. Lights flash. Red and blue. The Honda is crushed. The front is accordion folded. The windshield is spider-webbed with cracks. Blood streaks across the glass. The camera moves closer. You can see Sophie inside. She's slumped over. Blood runs from her forehead. Her eyes are closed. Her phone is on the floor. The screen is cracked but still glowing. A text message is visible. On my way home, Mom. Love you. The officer checks her pulse. He calls for an ambulance. His voice is urgent. I need paramedics now. Teenage female. Head trauma. Unresponsive. People in the courtroom gasp. A woman in the third row covers her mouth. A man shakes his head slowly. The video continues. Witnesses approach the officer. An older man speaks. I saw the whole thing. That Porsche was flying. Had to be going 80, 90 miles an hour. Blew right through the red light. Didn't even slow down. After he hit her, he stopped. He got out. He looked. Then he got back in and took off. Didn't call 911. Didn't check on her. Just left. Another witness, a younger woman, adds details. I ran over to the girl's car. I tried to open the door. It was jammed. I was screaming for help. I saw the Porsche driver on his phone. He was standing there talking. Then he just drove away. I got his plate. I wrote it down. Here. She hands the officer a piece of paper. The video stops. The courtroom is silent. You could hear a pin drop. The air feels heavy. Judge Caprio looks at Trevor. You stopped. You got out. You saw the car. You made a phone call. Then you left. Is that accurate? Trevor doesn't answer right away. His lawyer whispers something to him. Finally, Trevor speaks. I made a mistake. A mistake. The judge's eyebrows rise. Mr. Hastings, that young girl was unconscious and bleeding. She needed help. You left her there. I called my dad. He told me to come home. He said he'd handle it. From behind Trevor, Robert speaks. His voice is quiet. Shaky. Son, that's not what I said. I told you to call 911. I told you to stay there. I told you to help her. Trevor spins around. Dad, be quiet. You're confused. You don't remember. Robert's hands tremble, but his voice gets stronger. I remember perfectly, Trevor. You called me. You were crying. You said you hit someone. I said call an ambulance. You said you were scared. I said do the right thing. Then you hung up. Next thing I know, you're at my house. You told me you already left. You said she was probably fine. Trevor's face goes dark. Old man, stop talking. You're making this worse. Judge Caprio leans forward. Mr. Hastings, did you just tell your father to stop talking? He's 80 years old. He gets confused. He doesn't know what he's saying half the time. Robert's face crumples. Pain flashes across his features. Not physical pain. Something deeper. The pain of being disrespected by your own child. The pain of being called confused when you're not. The pain of watching your son lie. Your Honor, Robert says softly. I'm not confused. My mind is clear. My son is lying. I taught him better than this. I don't know where I went wrong. Trevor turns to his father. His voice is sharp. Mean. You went wrong by being poor for the first 60 years of my life. You went wrong by making me grow up in a tiny house with second-hand clothes. You went wrong by not giving me what other kids had. That's where you went wrong. The courtroom erupts. People gasp. Someone says, "Oh my God." A woman stands up. The bailiff moves forward slightly. Judge Caprio's hand comes down on his desk. Not a slam. Just a firm tap. Order. Everyone sit down. The room settles. But the tension is thick. You can feel it. Robert's eyes fill with tears. He doesn't wipe them away. He just stands there. An old man who worked his whole life. Who sacrificed everything. Who apparently raised an ungrateful son. Judge Caprio looks at Trevor. His face is stone. Mr. Hastings, let me make sure I understand. You just told your 80-year-old father that he went wrong by being poor. Trevor crosses his arms. I'm just being honest. He worked construction. We barely got by. I had to work twice as hard to get where I am now. I built my own success. I made my own money. How did you make your money? Real estate development. Property flipping. I started with a loan from my father. $50,000. I turned it into $15 million. I paid him back triple. He should be thanking me. The judge writes something down. So your father gave you seed money. $50,000. That's more than Ms. Morales makes in 2 years of night shifts. But you consider yourself self-made. I took a risk. I made smart choices. I worked hard. I'm sure you did. Judge Caprio's voice is dry. Officer Martinez, tell me about Sophie Chun. How is she? The officer's face is grim. She spent 3 weeks in intensive care. Skull fracture, brain swelling, broken ribs, punctured lung. She had 2 surgeries. She's alive, but she'll never be the same. She has permanent vision problems in her left eye. She has memory issues. She had to drop out of her junior year. She was on track for a full scholarship to Brown University. Now she's in physical therapy 3 times a week, just learning to balance again. A woman in the gallery starts crying quietly. It's Sophie's mother, Mrs. Chun. She came to see justice done. She came to see if the man who hurt her daughter would face consequences. Trevor shifts uncomfortably, but he doesn't apologize. He doesn't say anything. Judge Caprio continues. Officer, what was the defendant's blood alcohol level? 0. He wasn't drunk. He was just driving recklessly. We pulled data from the Porsche's computer system. In the 2 minutes before the crash, he accelerated from 35 miles per hour to 84. He was racing. His phone records show he was on Instagram Live. He was streaming himself driving fast. Showing off. Do we have that video? Yes, Your Honor. Would you like to see it? Please. The screen lights up again. This time it shows Trevor's face. He's smiling. The camera is propped on his dashboard. The speedometer is visible in the corner. It climbs. 50, 60, 70, 80. Trevor's voice comes through the speakers. What's up, everyone? Check this out. Just picked up the new Turbo S. This thing is insane. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Watch this. The engine roars. The speedometer jumps to 84. Trevor laughs. This is what money looks like, people. This is success. Then you hear the impact. A loud crash. Trevor's smile disappears. His eyes go wide. The phone falls. The video ends. The courtroom is silent again. Mrs. Chen's crying gets louder. Her shoulders shake. Judge Caprio turns off the screen. He looks at Trevor. He doesn't say anything for a long moment. He just looks. Finally, he speaks. Mr. Hastings, you were showing off. You were risking lives to impress strangers on the internet. Then when you hurt someone, you ran. You left a child bleeding on the sidewalk. You went home. You hid. You called a lawyer before you called for help. Is that an accurate summary? Trevor's lawyer stands. Your Honor, my client acknowledges his actions were wrong. He's prepared to accept a plea agreement. We've discussed this with the prosecutor. 6 months suspended sentence. 2 years probation. Fine and restitution. Community service. He'll complete everything required. Sit down, counselor. We'll get to that. The judge looks at Trevor again. I asked you a question. Is my summary accurate? Trevor's jaw tightens. Fine. Yes. I messed up. Can we just get this over with? I have things to do. Judge Caprio's eyebrows rise. You have things to do? Yeah. I have a closing this afternoon. A property deal. $2 million. I need to be there. You need to be there. It's business. It's important. The judge leans back in his chair. Mr. Hastings, there's a 16-year-old girl who needed to be at school. She needed to be at soccer practice. She needed to be living her life. But she can't. Because of you. And you're worried about a property deal. Trevor doesn't answer. Robert speaks up again. Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I tried to raise him right. After his mother died, it was just me. I worked every day. Double shifts. I saved every penny. I wanted to give him opportunities one never had. I wanted him to have a better life. But somewhere along the way, he forgot where he came from. He forgot what matters. Trevor spins around. Dad, I told you to shut up. You're embarrassing me. No one cares about your sob story. You were poor. You worked hard. Great. I'm not poor anymore. I don't need your guilt trips. Judge Caprio stands up. His voice is loud, sharp. Mr. Hastings, you will not speak to your father that way in my courtroom. Do you understand me? Trevor turns back to the judge. He needs to stop talking. No, you need to start listening. That man gave you life. He raised you alone after your mother died. He worked himself to the bone to give you opportunities. He gave you $50,000 of his hard-earned savings to start your business. And you stand here and tell him to shut up? You call him an old man? You say he's embarrassing you. He is embarrassing me. Look at him. He's weak. He's shaking. He can barely stand. He's a reminder of everything I don't want to be. The courtroom explodes. People start yelling. That's disgusting, someone shouts. Throw him in jail, another voice calls out. The bailiff raises his hands. Order. Everyone calm down. Judge Caprio's face is red. His hands grip the edge of his desk. Mr. Hastings, in 34 years on this bench, I have never been as disgusted as I am right now. Wealth does not make you better than anyone. Success does not give you the right to disrespect your father. That man is not weak. He's standing here watching his son reveal his true character. And that takes more strength than you'll ever have. Trevor smirks. Are you done with the lecture? Can we move on? The judge stares at him. 10 seconds pass. Then 20. The silence stretches. Everyone waits. Finally, Trevor speaks again. And this is when everything changes. Look, Judge. I get it. You're mad. You want to make an example of me. But let's be real. You're not going to do anything serious. My lawyer will appeal. My father's friends will make calls. This whole thing will disappear. It always does. That's how the world works. Justice is for people who can't afford lawyers. I can afford lawyers. I can afford anything. So just give me whatever slap on the wrist you're planning, and let me go. I have a life to get back to. A real life. Not like these people sitting here waiting for parking tickets to be dismissed. He waves his hand toward the gallery. Toward Elena. Toward Mrs. Chun. Toward ordinary people with ordinary problems. These people will never matter. They'll work their sad little jobs. They'll struggle to pay rent. They'll die without making a dent in the world. But me? I'm going to be worth $100 million by the time I'm 40. I'm going to own buildings, businesses, maybe even this courthouse. So do whatever you want, Judge. It won't change anything. Money wins. It always wins. And I have money. You have a robe. The silence that follows is complete. Total. Not a breath. Not a movement. Even the clock seems to stop ticking. Judge Caprio's face goes pale. Then red. Then pale again. His hands tremble slightly. He takes off his glasses. He cleans them slowly. He puts them back on. He looks at Trevor Hastings. Really looks at him. When he speaks, his voice is quiet. Almost a whisper. But every word cuts like a knife. Bailiff, lock the courtroom doors. The bailiff moves. The doors close. Click. The sound echoes. No one leaves until I'm finished, the judge says. Trevor's smirk fades. Just a little. What are you doing? I'm about to show you what justice really looks like. Judge Caprio opens Trevor's file. He reads through every page. He reviews Officer Martinez's report. He reviews the body camera footage log. He reviews the witness statements. He reviews Trevor's phone records. He reviews the Instagram Live video. He reviews Sophie Chen's medical records. 53 pages of injuries, surgeries, pain, permanent damage. Then he looks at Robert. Mr. Hastings, the father, not the defendant. You seem like a good man. Tell me about your son. What was he like as a child? Robert's voice breaks. He was kind. He was gentle. He loved animals. He volunteered at the food bank with me every Thanksgiving. After his mother died when he was 12, he became my best friend. We did everything together. We fished. We played catch. We talked about life. What changed? Money. When he turned 25, his real estate business took off. He made his first $1 million in 6 months. Then $5 million. Then 10. The more money he made, the less I saw him. He moved out of our little house into a mansion. He bought cars I can't even pronounce the names of. He started dating women who looked through me like I was invisible. He stopped calling. Stopped visiting. Last Thanksgiving, I ate alone. Robert's tears fall freely now. I lost my son the day he became rich. The boy I raised is gone. The man standing here is a stranger. Trevor rolls his eyes. Oh, please. You're being dramatic. Judge Caprio's voice cuts through. You be quiet. You've said enough. More than enough. He turns to Mrs. Chun. Ma'am, would you like to speak? Mrs. Chun stands. She walks forward slowly. She's a small woman, maybe 5 feet tall. She works as a seamstress. She sews clothes for a local tailor shop. Her hands are always busy, always working. Those hands are clasped together now. Your Honor, she begins. Her accent is thick. She came to America from China when she was 23. She learned English from watching TV, from reading library books. My Sophie is my only child. Her father died when she was 3. Heart attack. I raised her alone, like Mr. Hastings raised his son alone. But I taught Sophie to be grateful, to be kind, to work hard, to respect others, especially elders. She looks at Trevor. You hurt my daughter. You broke her body. You broke her dreams. Brown University sent her a letter. They had to rescind her scholarship offer. She can't handle the course load anymore. Her brain doesn't work the same. She forgets things. She gets confused. She gets headaches that last for days. Mrs. Chen's voice gets stronger. But you know what hurts most? She feels guilty. She thinks maybe she did something wrong. Maybe she wasn't paying attention. I tell her no. I tell her it wasn't her fault. A man ran a red light going 84 miles an hour while showing off on the internet. That's not her fault. That's his fault. She points at Trevor. But you didn't stay to help. You didn't call for help. You ran away. You hid. You protected yourself. Not my daughter. Yourself. What kind of man does that? Trevor's face is red. I said I'm sorry. No, you didn't, Mrs. Chin says. You haven't said sorry once. Not to me. Not to Sophie. Not to anyone. You said you made a mistake. That's not an apology. That's an excuse. She turns to the judge. Your Honor, I don't want money. I want him to understand what he did. I want him to know that my daughter mattered. That she matters. That her dreams mattered. I want him to see her. To really see her. Judge Caprio nods. Thank you, Mrs. Chun. He makes several notes. Then he looks at Trevor's lawyer. Counselor, does your client wish to change his plea? The lawyer and Trevor whisper back and forth. Trevor shakes his head several times. The lawyer looks stressed. Finally, the lawyer stands. Your Honor, my client maintains his plea. But he's willing to accept a plea agreement if offered. I'm not offering one, Judge Caprio says flatly. We're going straight to sentencing. Trevor's eyes widen. Wait, what? You can't do that. I have the right to a trial. You already pled not guilty. But the evidence against you is overwhelming. Video evidence, witness testimony, phone records, computer data from your car, medical records. You have 2 choices. Change your plea to guilty, or I schedule a trial for next month, and you sit in jail until then because I'm revoking your bail right now for your behavior in my courtroom. The lawyer leans over to Trevor. They whisper urgently. Trevor's face goes white. This is insane. No, Mr. Hastings. What you did was insane. What you said today was insane. This is justice. Now choose. Plead guilty and we proceed to sentencing today, or go to jail and wait for trial. Trevor looks around. His eyes search for support. His father looks away. The gallery stares at him with cold eyes. His lawyer gives him a look that says, take the plea. Fine, Trevor spits out. Guilty. Whatever. You plead guilty to all charges? Reckless driving, leaving the scene, and failure to render aid. Yes. Say it clearly for the record. Trevor's jaw clenches. I plead guilty to all charges. Thank you. Judge Caprio writes this down. Then he sets down his pen. He folds his hands. He looks at Trevor for a long moment. Then he begins to speak. Trevor Hastings. Look at me. Trevor looks up. Do you know what responsibility means? Not the dictionary definition. The real meaning. Responsibility means that your actions have consequences. It means that what you do affects other people. It means that you don't get to just walk away when things get hard. You ran away from an accident you caused. You left a child bleeding. You chose yourself over someone who desperately needed help. That's the opposite of responsibility. The judge's voice is steady, calm, but powerful. Let me ask you something else. Have you ever gone without? Have you ever wondered how you're going to pay rent? Have you ever skipped a meal because you didn't have enough money? Have you ever worked a job you hated just to survive? Trevor doesn't answer. I'll take your silence as a no. Your father did all those things. He went without so you wouldn't have to. He worked jobs he hated so you could have opportunities. He saved $50,000, which probably took him years, and he gave it to you. Not loaned it. Gave it. Because that's what parents do. They sacrifice. Judge Caprio points to Robert. That man standing next to you is not weak. He's not an embarrassment. He's a hero. He raised you alone after your mother died. He worked double shifts. He gave you everything he had. And you repay him by telling him to shut up? By calling him old? By saying he embarrasses you? Trevor stares at the floor. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Trevor's head snaps up. Your father gave you life twice. Once when you were born. Once when he gave you that money. And you spit on both gifts. You think money makes you special? You think wealth gives you value? Let me tell you something. This courtroom sees hundreds of people every month. Rich people. Poor people. And you know what I've learned? Money doesn't make you better. It just makes your flaws more visible. Your money didn't make you successful. It made you cruel. The judge picks up a photo. It's Sophie Chun. Before the accident. She's smiling. Wearing a soccer uniform. Holding a trophy. This is Sophie Chun. She's 16 years old. She had a 4.2 grade point average. She volunteered in animal shelter every weekend. She wrote poetry. She wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to help people. She mattered. He sets down the photo. You said the people in this courtroom don't matter. You said they'll die without making a dent in the world. Let me tell you about those people. Elena Morales, who was here earlier, saves lives every single night. She holds the hands of dying patients. She comforts them. She makes sure they don't die alone. That matters. Mrs. Chun sews clothes for people who can't afford new ones. She makes sure kids have something decent to wear to school. That matters. Your father built houses that families live in. Homes where children grow up. Where memories are made. That matters. Judge Caprio's voice rises. What do, Trevor? You flip houses. You buy low, sell high. You make money off other people's need for shelter. You don't create anything. You don't help anyone. You take. You accumulate. You show off. And you think that makes you special. Trevor's hands are shaking now. You said money wins. You said it always wins. Let me tell you something your father probably tried to teach you, but you didn't listen. Money is a tool. That's all. It can be used for good or evil. It can build hospitals or destroy lives. Your father used his money to build you a future. You used yours to buy a car that you drove recklessly, nearly killing a child. So no, Trevor. Money doesn't win. Character wins. Values win. Decency wins. And you have none of those things. The judge takes a breath. The courtroom is absolutely silent. Everyone is listening, hanging on every word. You asked why I'm giving you a lecture. Because someone needs to. Your father tried. But you stopped listening. Society tried. But you ignore it. Now you're going to listen to me. Because I have the power to change your life today. And I'm going to use that power. He opens a thick book. Rhode Island Criminal Code. He flips through pages. He finds what he's looking for. Trevor Hastings, you have been found guilty of reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident, and failure to render aid. These are serious crimes. In Rhode Island, reckless driving resulting in serious bodily injury carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a fine of $5,000. Leaving the scene carries up to 10 years and a fine of $10,000. Failure to render aid carries up to 1 year and a fine of $1,000. Combined, you're looking at up to 16 years in prison. Trevor's face goes white. His lawyer starts to stand, but the judge waves him down. I'm not finished. Now I could send you to prison. Part of me wants to. You absolutely deserve it. But I've been doing this for a long time. And I've learned that sometimes prison just makes people harder. It doesn't teach them. It doesn't change them. So I'm going to try something different. If you fail, if you don't complete what I'm about to order, you'll go to prison. Every single day. Do you understand? Trevor nods. Out loud. Yes. Yes, what? Yes, Your Honor. Better. The judge picks up his pen. Here is your sentence. First, financial penalties. You will pay a fine of $16,000. That's $1,000 for each year you could have spent in prison. That money will go to the Rhode Island Victims Support Fund. Trevor barely reacts. $16,000 is nothing to him. You will also pay full restitution to Sophie Chun for all medical expenses not covered by insurance. According to the records, that's currently at $147,000. You will pay that within 90 days. Trevor's eyes widen. That's more. But still, he's worth $15 million. He can handle it. You will also establish a college fund for Sophie Chun in the amount of $250,000. That's approximately what a full scholarship to Brown University would have covered. Since you took away her scholarship, you're giving her a new one. Trevor's lawyer objects. Your Honor, that's excessive. My client. Your client nearly killed a girl while showing off. He left her to die. He then insulted everyone in this courtroom, including his own father. I don't think $413,000 is excessive. I think it's merciful. Objection overruled. The lawyer sits down. Second, license suspension. Your driver's license is suspended for 2 years. Not revoked. Suspended. That means after 2 years, if you complete everything I'm about to order, you can apply to get it back. You will need to retake all driving tests, written and practical, and you'll need a letter from me saying you've earned it. Until then, no driving. Not even once. If I hear you got behind the wheel, you go to prison. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor. Third, community service. This is where it gets interesting. Judge Caprio leans forward. You're going to serve 500 hours of community service. Not in one place. In 3 places. And you're going to do it my way. Trevor swallows hard. First, you're going to work 150 hours at Rhode Island Hospital. The same hospital where Sophie Chun was treated. You're going to work in the emergency room. Not as a doctor. Not as a nurse. As a cleaner. You're going to mop floors. You're going to clean blood off walls. You're going to empty bedpans. You're going to see what happens when someone gets hurt and no one comes to help right away. You're going to see the doctors and nurses running to save lives. Lives that people like you put in danger. Trevor's mouth drops open. You can't make me do that. I absolutely can. And I am. You'll work every Saturday from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's 8 hours. You have 150 hours total. That's 19 weeks. If you miss even one day, you start over. And if you start over twice, you go to prison. The judge isn't done. Second, you're going to work 150 hours at a high school. Specifically, at the school Sophie Chun attended before her accident. You're going to work as a custodian. You're going to clean hallways, empty trash cans, scrub toilets. You're going to see teenagers Sophie's age walking around, going to class, playing sports, living their lives. Lives that Sophie can't fully live anymore because of you. You'll work after school hours. 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. twice a week. That's 8 hours a week. Another 19 weeks. Trevor looks like he might be sick. Third, you're going to work 200 hours at a non-profit organization called Trauma Survivors Support Network. They help people who've been in serious accidents. You're going to answer phones. You're going to listen to people cry. You're going to hear their stories. Stories of people who were hit by reckless drivers. People who lost loved ones. People whose lives were destroyed in seconds. You're going to sit there and take those calls, and you're going to feel every ounce of pain you caused. For hours every weekday evening. 6 to 10 p.m. That's 20 hours a week. 10 weeks. Judge Caprio does the math. 19 weeks for the hospital. 19 weeks for the school. 10 weeks for the hotline. Some of these will overlap. Altogether, you're looking at about 10 months of community service. 10 months where your evenings and weekends belong to other people. Not to you. Not to your business deals. Not to your property flips. To people you hurt. To people like them. Trevor's shaking his head. This is insane. I can't do all that. I have a business to run. Then hire someone to run it. Or sell it. Or let it fail. I don't care. You're doing this community service, or you're going to prison. Choose. Trevor looks at his lawyer. The lawyer shrugs. There's nothing he can do. But I'm not finished, the judge continues. Fourth, public accountability. You're going to write a letter of apology. Not to me. To Sophie Chun and her mother. A real letter. Handwritten. At least 2 full pages. You're going to explain what you did wrong. You're going to explain what you've learned. You're going to apologize sincerely. And you're not going to ask for forgiveness. You're just going to acknowledge the harm you caused. Your lawyer is not allowed to help you write it. If I see lawyer language, I'll make you write it again. You'll deliver this letter in person. At a time convenient for Mrs. Chun. Not for you. For her. If she doesn't want to see you, you'll mail it certified and you'll write a second letter to be read in a community forum. A public apology. Speaking of public, you're going to record a video. 3 minutes long. You're going to tell your story. What you did. Why it was wrong. What the consequences were. That video is going to be shown at every driver's education class in Providence for the next 2 years. Teenagers are going to watch you admit what you did. They're going to see what happens when you drive recklessly. You're going to be a cautionary tale. Trevor's face is red. His fists are clenched. But he doesn't say anything. 5th, probation. You're going to be on probation for 3 years. You're going to report to a probation officer every month. You're going to submit to random drug and alcohol testing. If you fail one test, you go to prison. If you get arrested for anything, even a speeding ticket, you go to prison. You're going to stay out of trouble for 3 full years. That means no more Instagram videos of you driving fast. No more showing off. No more reckless behavior. You're going to be a model citizen. 6th, and this is important, therapy. You're going to attend court-ordered therapy. 1 hour a week for 2 years. You're going to talk to a professional about your behavior, about your attitude toward money, about your relationship with your father, about empathy, about consequences. You're going to work on becoming a better person. Your therapist will send me monthly reports. If you're not participating meaningfully, your probation officer will know. And you know what happens then. Trevor nods weakly. 7th, and finally we come to the contempt of court charge. You were disrespectful in my courtroom. You told your father to shut up. You insulted the people in the gallery. You showed no remorse. You suggested that I couldn't touch you because of your money. That is contempt of court. And contempt of court carries a penalty. The judge looks at the bailiff. Bailiff, please take Mr. Hastings into custody. The bailiff moves forward. He pulls out handcuffs. Trevor's eyes go wide. Wait, what? No, you can't. I absolutely can. You're sentenced to 30 days in the Providence County Correctional Facility for contempt of court. You'll serve that time starting today. Right now, when you're released in 30 days, your community service begins. Your probation begins. Everything else begins. But first, you're going to spend a month in jail thinking about what you did and how you behaved. The bailiff reaches for Trevor's hands. Trevor pulls away. No. Dad. Dad, do something. Robert stands there. Tears stream down his face. But he doesn't move. He doesn't speak. Dad, please. Trevor's voice is desperate now. Scared. Real fear in his eyes. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I didn't mean it. Robert finally speaks. His voice is soft but firm. Son, I love you. But you need to learn. You need to face consequences. I can't protect you anymore. I shouldn't protect you. You're a grown man. It's time you acted like one. Trevor's face crumbles. Dad. The bailiff takes his wrists. Click. The handcuffs close. They're metal. They're cold. They're real. Trevor looks down at them like he can't believe it's happening. Wait, Trevor says. His voice cracks. Please. Your Honor. Please. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean what I said. I was wrong. Please don't send me to jail. Judge Caprio looks at him. You're sorry now? Now that there are handcuffs on your wrists? Where was this sorry when Sophie Chun was in the hospital? Where was it when your father was begging you to do the right thing? Where was it when Mrs. Chun told you about her daughter's broken dreams? I know. I was wrong. I'll do better. Please. You're going to do better. In jail. For 30 days. Then you're going to do better in the hospital. At the school. On the phone lines. You're going to spend the next year of your life doing better. And if you don't, you're going to spend the next several years in prison. Do you understand? Trevor nods. Tears run down his face. Real tears. Maybe the first real emotion he's shown all day. Bailiff, take him away. The bailiff leads Trevor toward the back door. Trevor looks over his shoulder at his father. Dad, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Robert's shoulders shake with sobs. I love you too, son. I'll be here when you get out. The door closes. Trevor is gone. The courtroom is silent. No one moves. No one speaks. The weight of what just happened hangs in the air. Judge Caprio looks at Robert. Mr. Hastings, I'm sorry you had to see that. Robert shakes his head. Don't be sorry, Your Honor. You did what I couldn't do. You held him accountable. Maybe this will finally teach him. Maybe he'll finally understand. Thank you. You're welcome. Do you need a moment? No. I'm okay. But Robert's tears say otherwise. He walks slowly out of the courtroom. Tap, tap, tap. Each step of his cane sounds lonely. Judge Caprio turns to Mrs. Chun. Ma'am, I hope this brings you some measure of justice. Mrs. Chun stands. She bows slightly. Thank you, Your Honor. I didn't think anyone would listen. I didn't think anyone would care. But you listened. You cared. Thank you. She leaves quietly, dignified in her pain. The gallery starts to empty. People file out slowly. They're talking in hushed voices. Did you see his face? He deserves every second. That judge is incredible. Within minutes, the courtroom is empty except for Judge Caprio and his clerk. The clerk speaks. Judge, that was something. It needed to be done, Maria. That young man needed to hear the truth. He needed to face real consequences for the first time in his life. Do you think it'll change him? I don't know. I hope so. For his father's sake. For Sophie Chen's sake. For his own sake. But hope isn't enough. He has to do the work. What if he doesn't? Then he goes to prison. Simple as that. The clerk nods. She gathers her papers. Court is adjourned. Court is adjourned. 8 weeks later, Trevor Hastings stands in front of Judge Caprio again. But this time, he's different. His suit is gone. He's wearing jeans. A plain white t-shirt. No watch. No jewelry. His hair isn't slicked back. It's natural. He looks tired. But there's something else. Something in his eyes. Maybe humility. Maybe understanding. Mr. Hastings, the judge begins. You've completed 30 days in jail. You've started your community service. Your probation officer tells me you've attended every therapy session. You've shown up on time for your hospital work, your school work, your hotline work. Tell me how it's going. Trevor takes a breath. Your Honor, it's been the hardest 2 months of my life. It was horrible. I couldn't sleep. The food was terrible. The other inmates knew who I was. They saw the news. They didn't like me much. I got into a fight the first week. I lost. Badly. I learned real fast that my money didn't matter in there. No one cared that I was rich. They only cared about what I did. And they hated what I did. He continues. When I got out, I started the community service. The hospital was awful at first. I had to clean up things I never imagined. Blood. Vomit. Worse things. I wanted to quit after the first day. But I remembered your words. If I quit, I go to prison. So I kept going. After a few weeks, something changed. I started paying attention. I saw the nurses. People like Elena Morales. They worked so hard. They cared so much. One night, a car accident victim came in. Teenager. Around Sophie's age. I watched the trauma team work on him for 2 hours. They saved his life. And I thought Sophie didn't have 2 hours. She had minutes. Because no one called for help. Because I didn't call for help. Trevor's voice breaks. I realized how close I came to killing her. If she'd been injured just a little worse, she'd be dead. And I would have been responsible. That thought keeps me up at night. Judge Caprio listens carefully. What about the school? The school is hard in a different way. I see kids Sophie's age. They're laughing, playing, studying, living their lives. And I know Sophie can't do that anymore. Not fully. One of the teachers told me about her. She said Sophie was the kindest kid in school. Always helping others. Always smiling. And I took that away from her. What about the hotline? Trevor wipes his eyes. That's the worst part. And the best part. I hear stories every night. People who were in accidents. People who lost family members. People whose lives were destroyed by drunk drivers, reckless drivers, distracted drivers. One woman called last week. Her son was killed by a street racer. She cries every day. It's been 3 years, and she still cries every day. I listened to her for an hour. I didn't know what to say. So I just listened. And when we hung up, I sat there and cried too. Because I could have been the person who made someone cry like that. I almost was. Judge Caprio nods slowly. Have you reached out to Sophie Chun? I wrote the letter. Like you ordered. 2 full pages. Handwritten. It took me 3 days. I kept starting over. I wanted to get it right. I explained everything. I took full responsibility. I told her I was sorry. I told her she didn't deserve what happened. I told her I'd spend the rest of my life trying to be better. I didn't ask her to forgive me. I just wanted her to know that I understand what I did. Did you deliver it? I tried. Mrs. Chun didn't want to see me. I understand. So I mailed it certified. But I also wrote a second letter. A public one. I read it at a community forum last week. About 50 people were there. Accident survivors. Victim families. They all listened. Some of them yelled at me. Some of them cried. I just stood there and took it. Because they deserve to be heard. They deserve to be angry. Judge Caprio studies him. What about your father? This is when Trevor really breaks down. I called him the day I got out of jail. I told him I was sorry. I told him I was wrong about everything. I told him he wasn't an embarrassment. He was my hero. He cried. I cried. We talked for 2 hours. I asked if I could see him. He said yes. So I went to his house. The house I grew up in. The house I said I was ashamed of. And you know what I saw? Photos. Everywhere. Photos of me. My whole life. My baseball games. My birthdays. My graduation. He kept every single one. He was proud of me. Even when I didn't deserve it. We talked about Mom. About how she died. About how hard it was for him. About how he almost gave up, but didn't because he had me. He worked himself to exhaustion for me. And I threw it in his face. I called him weak. I told him to shut up. I'm so ashamed. Trevor looks directly at the judge. Your Honor, I don't know if I can ever make this right. I don't know if Sophie will ever forgive me. I don't know if Mrs. Chin will. I don't know if my dad fully forgives me. But I'm trying. Every single day, I'm trying. I show up. I do the work. I listen. I learn. I'm not the same person who walked into your courtroom 2 months ago. That person was arrogant, cruel, selfish. I don't want to be that person anymore. The courtroom is quiet. Several people have come to observe. They listen to every word. Mrs. Chun is sitting in the gallery. She came today. She wanted to hear what Trevor had to say. Judge Caprio sees her. Mrs. Chun, would you like to speak? She stands. She walks forward slowly. She looks at Trevor. He can't meet her eyes at first. But then he forces himself to. He looks at her. Really looks at her. Mr. Hastings, she says softly. I got your letter. I read it many times. At first, I didn't believe you. I thought it was just words. Words to make the judge happy. But then someone told me about the community forum. They said you stood there while people yelled at you. You didn't defend yourself. You just listened. They said you cried. Real tears. She pauses. I also called the hospital. I asked about you. The supervisor said you're a good worker. You show up early. You stay late. You never complain. You help the nurses when they need extra hands. She said you're different from when you started. Trevor nods. I'm trying, Mrs. Chun. I know it doesn't fix what I did. Nothing can fix that. But I'm trying. Mrs. Chun takes a breath. My daughter wants to meet you. Trevor's eyes widen. What? Sophie wants to meet you. She read your letter too. She's been in therapy. Her therapist thought it might help her to meet you. To see that you're a real person. To hear you apologize in person. I wasn't sure. But Sophie wants to. So I'm asking. Will you meet with her? With me there. And maybe a therapist too. Just to talk. Trevor's voice is barely a whisper. Yes. Yes, of course. Whenever she wants. I'll be there. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that chance. Mrs. Chun nods. She returns to her seat. Judge Caprio watches all of this. Then he speaks. Mr. Hastings, you've made progress. Significant progress. But you have a long way to go. You have 8 more months of community service. 2 more years of therapy. 3 years of probation. That's a long time. You'll be tempted to quit. You'll be tempted to go back to your old life. Your old ways. Don't do it. Keep going. Keep changing. Keep growing. I will, Your Honor. I promise. Promises are easy. Actions are hard. Show me with your actions. I will. Judge Caprio makes some notes. Your probation officer's reports are good. Your therapy reports are good. Your community service supervisors all say you're doing well. I'm going to continue your current sentence. No changes. But I want to see you back here in 6 months. I want another update. Can you do that? Yes, Your Honor. Good. Keep doing the work, Mr. Hastings. Become the man your father deserves. The man your mother would have been proud of. The man Sophie Chin can forgive. Court is adjourned. Trevor stands there for a moment. Then he turns to leave. But he stops. He looks at the gallery. His father is sitting there. He came to support his son. Trevor walks over to him. He kneels down in front of his father's chair. Dad, thank you for being here. Robert's hands, still shaking slightly with age, reach out. They cup his son's face. I'll always be here, son. Always. They hug. Right there in the courtroom. An old man and his son, trying to rebuild what was broken. People in the gallery have tears in their eyes. This is what justice looks like. Not just punishment. Transformation. Growth. Hope. 6 months later, Trevor completes his community service. All 500 hours. The hospital throws him a small goodbye party. The nurses give him a card. They all signed it. It says, "Thank you for your hard work. You made a difference." The school principal shakes his hand. "You were good with the kids, Mr. Hastings. They liked you. You were humble. Real. That matters." The hotline director gives him a certificate. "You helped a lot of people, Trevor. You listened when they needed someone to listen. That's a gift." Trevor puts all of these in a folder. He keeps them in his apartment. Reminders of who he's becoming. He meets with Sophie Chen 3 times over those 6 months. The first meeting is hard, awkward, painful. Sophie looks at him with fear at first. But slowly she relaxes. He tells her he's sorry. She tells him about her struggles. They don't become friends, but they reach understanding. By the 3rd meeting, Sophie says something that changes everything. "Mr. Hastings, I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I don't want to carry anger forever. My therapist says forgiveness is for me, not for you. So I'm choosing to forgive you. But you have to promise me something." "Anything." "Promise me you'll keep being better. Promise me you'll use your money to help people. Promise me that what happened to me won't happen to someone else because of you." "I promise." And he keeps that promise. Trevor uses his money differently now. He donates to the hospital. He funds scholarships for kids like Sophie. He sponsors a driver safety program at local high schools. He pays for Mrs. Chen's shop to expand. He doesn't do these things for publicity. He does them quietly, because it's the right thing to do. His business changes too. Instead of flipping houses for maximum profit, he starts renovating houses for low-income families. He charges them fair prices. Sometimes he sells at a loss. His accountant thinks he's crazy. But Trevor doesn't care about being a millionaire anymore. He cares about being a good man. His relationship with his father heals. They have dinner every Sunday. They talk about everything. Life. Mistakes. Redemption. Robert tells his son he's proud of him. Not for his money. For his character. 2 years later, Trevor finishes his probation. He goes back to court one final time. Judge Caprio reviews his file. "Mr. Hastings, I've read all the reports. Your probation officer says you're a model citizen. Your therapist says you've done exceptional work. Your community service was exemplary. Sophie Chen and her mother have both written letters supporting you. They say you've kept your promises. You've changed your life. You've helped others." Trevor stands quietly. Humbly, "I'm officially releasing you from probation. Your sentence is complete. You're a free man." Trevor nods. "Thank you, Your Honor. For everything. You changed my life. You saved my life." "I didn't save anything, Mr. Hastings. You did the work. You made the choice to change. I just gave you the opportunity. Still, thank you." Judge Caprio smiles. A real smile. "You're welcome. Now go. Keep being the man you've become. Don't ever go back to who you were." "I won't. I promise." And this time, everyone believes him. The story of Trevor Hastings becomes something of a legend in Providence. People talk about it. The rich kid who got humbled. The judge who held him accountable. The transformation that followed. It's used as an example in courtrooms across the country. It's taught in law schools. It's discussed in ethics classes. But more importantly, it changes lives. Other people in Trevor's position see what happened. They think twice before being reckless. Before showing off. Before treating others with disrespect. They learn that money doesn't make you immune to consequences. Victims of other crimes find hope. They see that sometimes justice does happen. Sometimes the system works. Sometimes people do change. And judges around the country are inspired. They remember why they became judges. Not to process paperwork. Not to hand down routine sentences. But to make a difference. To teach. To transform. To serve justice. Judge Frank Caprio sits in his chambers after Trevor's final hearing. He opens his desk drawer. Inside is a photo. It's Sophie Chen, the one from her soccer days. Before the accident. Before everything changed. He keeps it there as a reminder. A reminder that every case involves real people. Real pain. Real consequences. He thinks about Trevor. About Robert. About Elena. About Mrs. Chen. About all the people who come through his courtroom. Each one with a story. Each one deserving dignity. Deserving fairness. Deserving justice. He closes the drawer. He picks up the next file. Another case. Another person. Another opportunity to make a difference. Because that's what justice is. It's not about revenge. It's not about punishment for punishment's sake. It's about accountability. It's about consequences. It's about teaching people to be better. It's about giving people chances to change while making sure they understand the weight of their actions. Trevor Hastings learned that lesson. The hard way. But he learned it. And his life is better for it. Sophie Chen's life isn't the same. It never will be. But it's better than it would have been if Trevor hadn't changed. If he hadn't taken responsibility. If he hadn't devoted himself to being better. Robert Hastings got his son back. Not the entitled, arrogant man who told him to shut up, but the kind, compassionate boy he raised. The son who calls every day, who visits every week, who says I love you and means it. Mrs. Chun got something too. Not her daughter's old life. That's gone forever. But she got to see justice done. She got to see consequences. She got to see transformation. And she got to see her daughter find peace through forgiveness. This is the power of real justice. This is what happens when judges care. When they see beyond case numbers and legal codes. When they see human beings. When they dare to do something different. Something meaningful. Money can buy many things. It can buy cars, houses, clothes, experiences. But it cannot buy back time. It cannot undo harm. It cannot purchase respect. It cannot earn forgiveness. It cannot create character. And in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, it definitely cannot buy justice. Justice must be earned. Through accountability. Through hard work. Through genuine change. Through humility. Through service to others. Through recognizing that every action has consequences. Through understanding that we're all connected. That what we do affects others. That privilege comes with responsibility. Trevor Hastings learned this. And in learning it, he became free. Free from arrogance. Free from entitlement. Free from the prison of his own selfishness. True freedom isn't having enough money to do whatever you want. True freedom is becoming the kind of person who wants to do what's right. That's the lesson. That's the message. That's what makes this story matter. And that's what makes Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom a place where justice doesn't just punish. It transforms. It heals. It teaches. It changes lives.